Okay. All right, it's 7 o'clock. I'm going to call the meeting to order, and if you have not yet had a chance to look at the minutes, please do so. And again, we'll be looking for a motion.
We got two more here. All right.
Is there a motion?
I move we accept the minutes as read.
Is there a second?
Can I second?
Yeah.
I have.
Additions and corrections or corrections?
Almost.
Mm-hmm.
Looks good.
I thought I saw Leslie.
No, Lizzie's not here.
She's in New
She's in
York.
Boston.
In Boston. Yeah, she's in Boston.
All right, then, all in favor?
Aye.
Good. Five all there. Very good. All right, so as we move forward, we'll jump, I think, right into old business and attempt to discuss the proposed amendments to the ordinance. Let me ask a question. Of all the people who are out here, are there people here for the amendments? Are you here to listen? Okay, good, great. I don't mean it for any other reason, but if we were for something else, then there's no sense in hashing over these again. Okay, Ken, I'm going to put you up on the bandwagon here again and go to it.
So one of the things we took a look at, the planning board did, was additional dwelling units similar to an in-law apartment. This would allow a attached apartment without requiring additional square footage for the lot and road frontage. The planning board about 15 years ago tried to do something with the ordinance, but it was so restrictive, nobody's used it since. So we're hoping this may help. We're seeing a lot of people come in and ask us for a in-law apartment, for I guess the slang term of it, because the kids are moving back home to take care of the parents, or the parents are coming back home to take care of grandkids. So we're seeing nationally a upturn in this. So in the minimum standards, it talks about the dwelling unit requiring, the additional dwelling unit requiring more square footage, more road frontage. So that's going to be an exception to the rule would be the accessory dwelling unit. That's not going to need it. We updated the land use chart by adding that to it. Brought in the definition for it, bringing it down through multifamily. Only one ADU would be located within the building. It's an owner-occupied single-family unit. The lot is a current conforming lot. It meets the existing requirements. So in your zone, if you needed 250 feet and 2 acres, it's a conforming lot. It's not a non-conforming lot. The maximum size of the dwelling unit would be 800 square feet. During the deliberation early on, the board talked about limiting bedrooms and things like that. A lot of towns restrict it to 1 bedroom. But I meet a lot of older couples that sleep in separate bedrooms. One's on a CPAP machine, the other one has restless leg syndrome. So it's not like you have multiple people living in there, it's just a couple split out. And then the construction of the unit meets the standards. Any questions on the ADU? Nobody cares, EDU.
For ADU.
Poor ADU. It's because everybody out there is pretty young.
Yeah.
We're all familiar with all this.
The timber harvesting, basically, we're looking at going to state standards. So this is going to remove, I think it was 13 page of language in the local zoning ordinance that told us how to cut the tree, what type of skidder to use to cut the tree, when we're cutting the trees. And mostly this is in shoreline zoning. So what this would do is remove the town of Acton from any enforcement with timber harvesting, excluding shoreline zone, other activity they call it with the DEP. So this basically eliminates all of that. And I think at the very end we added, or it was the very beginning, we just added a couple of words. It just says,
To change the beginning,
I think it's right at the beginning.
yeah,
the second page.
That's the title of
in the
Yeah.
permitted, yeah.
Timber harvesting plan.
Yeah.
Right.
Is anybody here for timber harvesting?
Yes,
Here we go.
Questions?
yes.
Go to it.
So what happens in the shoreline zone? So, right, because I understand that the Forest Service now is going to be enforcing their rules as far as timber harvesting goes, is that correct?
Correct, so there's state standards,
Yeah.
and it's just like a building code, a statewide building code. Before, when every town had their own, it was very difficult for builders to do the same. So the loggers are having the same problem. Our biggest problem is somebody files a notification with the Forest Service, where they're cutting that day. We don't get the notification for, sometimes it's 6 to 8 weeks later. And we have to go out onto a logging site and deal with the loggers, and it's really just a notification process. So we never get those notifications. So this would put all the enforcement with the Forest Service.
Okay, what about the shoreline? So I'll give you an example. So I have 4 mile on the Salmon Falls River. Obviously on the main side, there's a lot of big pines growing there.
Yeah.
They're all going to end up in the river. If I don't get a chance, I can't harvest them according to somebody's rules. Some people like them in the river. I
Yeah.
don't like them in the river.
No,
And
no.
so what happens now?
So currently, if you are harvesting in the shoreline zone, resource protection, stream protection district, the town requires you to hire a forester and with the plan, and you're limited to resource protection timber harvesting, because I believe your property has a lot of resource protection. The Forest Service does not use the words resource protection.
Right.
I think, was it wetlands they use, or buffer? So it takes away that resource protection regulation.
What, I mean the local resource protection? regulation?
Correct. Yeah,
So
because the Forest Service does not use that terminology and do
Okay,
not
so
use the
am I going to
regulation.
be allowed, given the right situation, to harvest those pines or some of the pines?
Oh,
without a local-
definitely you can do a selective cut, I
Without
think up
a-
to 40%.
Okay, without a local, do I need to get approval of code enforcement?
If this was passed through, no. Yeah, I think you could even do it without a forester. I'm not sure about the tree growth, how that works with a plan you need on file and mitigating that
Right.
to keep it in tree growth. But this would eliminate the town permit, the resource protection regulations, and you'd just be with the main Forest Service rules. And then it would all be under the main Forest Service's jurisdiction.
Okay, thank you.
Just a general question. I know that you file an intent to cut, but you don't really get any kind of approval from the state, is that correct?
We get the notification, and sometimes it's 2 months old, which if they're harvesting, a mechanized operation can do up to 5 acres a day. So even a huge lot, they're gone before we know it. And usually one of the biggest problems we have, the road commissioners do too, is they just blow an entrance way in, and that's when we notice something's going on. Most of the complaints we get are noise complaints from people, that they're out there 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning out there cutting and stuff, which we really don't have much regulations for that.
But if you file an intent to cut one day and you start cutting the next day before you get any kind of approval. You can do a lot of damage
Yeah,
before.
so Maine calls it a notification. All you're doing is notifying them. There is no permit that comes back. I don't believe there's a fee. You're just telling them, I'm on this lot on that day.
But you do get a number that goes on the
You
tree.
do get a number.
Immediately.
And I thought online you got that and you were able to print it out and keep going. And I just wasn't unclear why, if they were able to print online, why the state didn't get it and we get it all at the same time by clicking. So it becomes a long time till we get notified.
Right, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Yes.
No. If, under our regulations, if you've got resource protection, shoreline zoning, stream protection, you're supposed to have a forester and a town permit. So usually, most loggers aren't aware of the local regulations, so, or they just want to do it and ask for forgiveness later.
Questions? Any more? I mean, the reason, as I saw it anyway, the reason that we jumped into this idea was up to the point of changing this part of the ordinance, we would never get any support from the state if we ended up with issues on a cut. So for us to be able to get the state to back us, we need to follow their guidelines essentially. And that's why this change is taking place. Right, we thought we had done it a year ago when we made the changes to the timber harvesting, but we had not used the right words in their mind. And as a result of that, they said no, they still wouldn't back us, they still wouldn't support us until we made, again, in their mind, the corrections.
Who's telling you that?
This is
The local, the county forester or the state forester?
this is up in Augusta. Yeah,
Yeah, but I mean, the specific, I mean,
Well,
that's.
Steve Ogden.
Okay.
Came in for once a meeting,
Steve's
yeah.
a consultant forester, but that's different than what we're hearing from the folks in Augusta.
we heard it from Augusta too.
Okay.
We had the guy from Augusta, what was his name?
Oliver
Oliver.
Markowitz.
Yeah, he was the one that said
He's
that
the
they...
county forester,
Mhm.
so, okay.
Wasn't it Oliver we had?
A couple of the issues the state had with us, so we could go to state standards, is one, we wanted a notification when the project was going.
Yeah,
That kicked us out of state standards. And we also had, if you were in shoreline zone resource protection, you needed a forester on the project. So that between the two, that kicked us out of state standards.
so they say they have no ability to tell you when somebody files an intent to cut, like immediately. So somehow the logger gets a number,
Yeah,
puts on a tree, or else he's in trouble with the state.
yeah.
So why can't you get notification immediately? They didn't answer
No.
the question.
Well, Oliver said he understood our concern about that.
Oh, yeah, they all.
Oh, they all
Yeah.
understood our concerns
And-
about that.
And they didn't close the window on maybe some further discussion about it and maybe appealing it to our desire to do that to MFS.
Yeah, yeah. I think they know they have an issue, but I don't think they want to jump into the electronic where they're emailing directly out to the towns if they have a notification and pass it directly to the town. They're still putting it in an envelope and mailing it to us. No, it's electric now. They are sending an email, but it still takes a long time.
information,
Yeah.
know what lot it is.
Yeah, yeah, no address. It just, they're extremely general.
Yeah, the person that files the intent to cut has to give a map and lot number, I think.
I don't
No,
think
you
so.
don't
No,
think so?
we have to come up
It's
with
not
that
on
a
the
lot
form.
of times.
Oh, is it? There's a state form they have to fill out for the state.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Any other questions on the timber harvesting? Okay, moving on.
The other one was non-conforming vacant lots. There was a section in the ordinance that said if you're in the shoreline zone and you had two continuous lots, you needed to merge them together if they were in the same ownership. But then there was some verbiage at the bottom that said if you're still the owner of it, you could pull that deed out, what we were seeing 30, 40 years later, and say, I still have that lot there, and then the lot comes back to life. So we took a look at that. Of all places, the shoreline zone, the board thought was the worst place for that to happen without regulations. We tried to work on it a couple of years ago, requiring some minimum frontage and square footage size, and the board thought the best thing was just to get rid of it.
Comments, questions?
This is the biggest turnout we've had for it. We've had 2 or 3 during the drafting, and did anybody show up for public hearing?
No.
No.
This is the public hearing.
No, this
No.
is information.
Informational here.
It's not in the newspaper.
I put the wrong.
Okay.
Oh.
Forgot here.
That's good.
Home now.
That's good, you got him here.
Yeah.
It's good.
All right, then, do we cover all?
Now we're on to
We
gravel.
have one more, right?
Yep, gravel.
So when I started 20 years ago, the selectmen explained to me the gravel ordinance just in passing that people are allowed to take 10,000 yards off their property without a permit. We started looking at it earlier on this year, and the town attorney looked at it and said that is not what that says whatsoever. That was filling or grading. It wasn't a gravel pit, was the interpretation from the town attorney. The 10,000 yards, and we've got a few projects around that they're reclaiming, moving, and the gravel stays on the property and you're just regrading the whole site. So we looked at it, and in reality it was allowing 100 yards without a permit. So the planning board took a look at it early on, and they didn't feel it was safe to go to 10,000 yards, which would be, if you were hauling with a 10-wheeler or 10-yard truck or so, you'd be looking at 1,000 loads out of it a year, and it's basically an unenforceable ordinance. There's no way for us to track how much is coming out. So looking at it, it brought it in reality from 100 yards to 1,000 yards, and anything else would require conditional use permit. And it also brought the word of ledge in, so if you were removing ledge, that would also count in that.
So tell me that what this does again, it goes from 10,000
No, it goes from 100 to 1,000.
yards to your removal, mineral extraction. Right?
Correct.
And it's, you still can't measure how much is taken out, you couldn't measure 10,000, so how are you gonna,
I can measure 1,000 better than I can measure 10,000.
okay, just by the disturbance?
Or
It's a cross-section.
if I had to, yeah, but in reality, if I see more than 200 trucks leaving a site in a month, I think we've got a good inclination that there's over 1,000 yards have been pulled. At that time, we're probably at 2,000, and it depends on the size of the truck. 10-wheeler, 10 yards, maybe a little bit more. Tractor trailers, you're probably teetering 20 yards. So the planning board didn't feel it was safe, so if they had gone to the 10,000 yards, you'd be looking at, 1,000 trucks leaving somebody's yard unregulated, 24 hours a day. So they didn't feel comfortable with that, but they thought 1,000 was realistic for a little mom and pop digging something out of the backyard. And as you know, driving all over town, there's these open scars all over the town. We've got no reclamation plans for it. We've got one expired pit now that got reclaimed this year. Somebody bought it for a house, and they've done a tremendous amount of work out there. The biggest thing is the loom. Once they strip the loom and sell the loom, you can't afford to bring the loom back and do a revegetation plan.
So anybody that goes over 1,000 is gonna be required to leave the loom on the site, is that?
That is usually a planning board condition, that there's at least enough loom. We had one gentleman tell us that he had more than enough loom on site, but he never went forward with providing the calculations and stuff like that to show us that he had adequate means to revegetate the site.
When I was on the planning board when we did 10,000 yards, and that was a huge battle.
Yeah.
That passed, so just so everybody has a sense, that didn't happen easily.
And that's
Any
what,
regulation.
yeah, that was about 20 years ago, 25.
Probably 25.
Yeah, because I had just started and I heard there were changes on town floor to change it to 1,000 to 10,000, and it was a big fight, and
Yeah.
Any other questions?
When will the change take place, and what will be the grace period? Will we have to engineer our property and present that to the planning board?
Do you currently have a
We
pit
do,
that's
on
open?
Lakeside Drive. I eventually want to build a cabin there for me and my wife.
Yeah.
So being respectful to the road and the people that are camping there now, I'm making minimal extractions. And I'd like to just continue as we are. I don't want
Yeah.
to whale 100 trucks out of there or anything like that.
Yeah,
But I would like to make progress every year so that I can see, you know, my kids are getting older, and when I can build, I can build.
and that's usually when somebody comes in with a gravel pit, you need an end game for what this is gonna be when you're done. You just
Yep.
can't dig. It's a golf course, it's gonna be a subdivision, a Walmart, you need some sort. And usually the big thing is that it's internally drained. You don't
Yeah.
have a lot of wash coming out. How much are you guys taking out of there a year now?
I don't know without looking it up.
And you guys inherited a
Gravel pit.
mess.
Yeah,
Because I remember when you guys came in 15 years ago, you were just cleaning up the piles of rock that nobody ever wanted for years out there. So I think something like that would work with you guys. And I think the big thing is reclamation plan and how much digging do you have left out there.
okay.
But I remember when you first came to town, it was a mess. And most of it you were taking was the overburden nobody wanted. All the big huge rocks and
Yeah.
stuff, and you guys have got a lot of that stuff out of there, but.
We are making progress. We haven't progressed as fast as we wanted because of the economics
Yeah.
changes, but
Yeah,
we see things looking a little better.
Yeah.
So the town will see improvement on reclamation a little speedier than it has been.
yeah,
And basically, I don't hit that area till the fall, when I know the camp people are gone.
yeah, you guys are really good about the hours that are out there that you're
Yeah.
working, and when you're bringing it out and fixing the road up a little bit, helps your trucks going in and
Nice.
out, so.
I mean, essentially, you're gonna have 110 wheelers that you're gonna be able to take out of there to get to that 1,000.
No, they'd be down to 75 triaxles or something like that.
We're home.
And again, we're not counting the trucks or anything like that, and if you're teetering 75 to 100, that's not even gonna recognize our radar that we're going, because, I mean, we see you guys coming in and out all the time. Of course, if you're leaving at 4 o'clock in the morning, trucking all day for a month straight, you've got multiple tractor trailers out of there, and
Yeah,
we can count in 2 days that you've gotten 1,000 yards out of there, and you've been there for 2 months, that, you know, obviously, at that point, and again, the end of the game is really, if we have to get into the conditional use permit, is hours of operation just for the neighborhood, that the neighbors aren't overburdened, and the reclamation plan and keeping you guys above the water table.
Yep.
So, but you started a pit with no loom and a bunch of rock.
yeah,
So anything you do at the end of the day out there is gonna be a plus for that pit. And it was your neighbors that have bought that, and put a house
Yeah.
in, and they've done
I
a
saw
lot
that.
out there, and
yeah,
I think give that another year or so, and that's gonna look tremendous.
yeah.
But, I mean, you've got not only that one, you've got one across the street from you kinda with the abandoned crusher, and there's 2 or 3 more of those just like that in that same neighborhood, so. And I think that was the concern with the planning board, is that these are all over the place, and a lot of people are concerned when they see a logging truck leaving town, saying, oh my God, Acton's leaving town trucks every day. The trees will grow back, the gravel doesn't.
Yeah.
So, and it's just, if it's an internally drained pit, I mean, that's most of the concerns right there.
Okay,
You don't have stormwater leaving the property.
no,
Is that all profitable?
He's across from that. What was that, Olson's or?
no, what was the name of the guy that owned the pit, before, that you bought the pit from?
Ames.
Ames.
Jack Ames.
Jack Ames.
Yeah,
No.
Any other questions or concerns?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
on your chart there, you have a aquifer protection area. Where exactly is that, or how are you defining that in town? Is that,
Main geological. There exists main geological survey maps for that. For high, there's,
so, I
I
mean,
think they call it a potential high yield aquifer under lasers.
okay,
Better than 100, I don't know what
how
the
many
gallons
gallons?
per minute.
Yeah, but I mean, it said that,
It's just an overlay of main geological survey.
Okay. But it was part of the conditional or non-conditional, it was an area or up town, I believe.
Oh, yeah, it's in the, if you look in your zoning ordinance, it's in the front of the maps, it's one of the overlay districts.
I mean, I would imagine there's a
We'll
lot of
probably put it up
actors
there,
in
yeah.
town, I don't know if they're all interrelated. But,
See the dotted area.
I mean, has anybody on the planning board or anybody, whatever, has anybody given any thought? Okay,
Yeah, so this is on the town website, it's the maps online, the GIS, and this is the aquifer protection overlay area.
Oh, I see.
So they used it last meeting, there was somebody with an automotive repair facility, and it was right borderline for aquifer protection, so they were just looking at that time. Don't store your junk cars, don't store your waste, put it on the side of the lot. It gave them good guidance on, hopefully.
In looking to the future, as the town of Acton, has anybody ever given any thought to, as the, congestion or urban plight comes along, the potential source of a public water supply, perhaps start off maybe to the lakes or it would be needed?
I've heard it mentioned quite a bit that for a public water supply, water sewer lines, which sounds crazy, but if you've ever driven down East Shore Drive, and there's a few others that it's like, this is exactly where you would need it. You've got a lot of 50 by 100 lots, which oddly enough is the same size required for campgrounds, the 5,000 square feet. And those are houses with garages and driveways, that's the full size. So that would be something like that, but no way in the town anybody's really thinking about that.
Well, I mean, sooner or later, this is all going to catch up. I mean, that...
To be able to get a septic on everybody's lot.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
well,
you just think of where, if you have these seasonal people who eventually convert over to year-round, as the urban
sprawl.
sprawl comes to Acton, which it will.
Oh, yeah, it already has.
It has.
The soil's just not going to be able to take it.
Yeah.
It's coming, and then you're going to get a thing like a federally mandated or a state mandated thing would stop everything and put in sewer lines, water lines.
Yep.
And whatever cost it might be.
And it's a double-edged sword. Where you see the amount of gravel pits in town, that's beautiful gravel. Well, the water travels really quick through a lot of that, so it's,
Well, it's filtered through it.
Yeah. And it travels fast. It's not slow traveling, it's fast traveling. So your effluent from your septics would travel fast through that type of gravel, and a lot of the septic designs are required to have a layer in it, a liner in it that slows it down, which is difficult to kind of accept if you're paying for a new septic, that you have to put a liner in that really may take 10 years off your septic or whatever, because you're slowing it down versus you have beautiful gravel to filter it or release it out of that system fast.
So are you trying to keep the sewage out of the aquifer below the leach field, or is this part of the design?
That's through the state, yeah. The water table, they're trying to slow it down so it doesn't travel as fast through that, and it doesn't, the nitrates and phosphates aren't reduced from it. The slower and longer it takes, the more that can be reduced, and it's not getting into the lakes.
Any other questions out there, comments? All right, thank you. Okay, I think now that we are done with this particular part of the agenda, let's move on to Bill Plant's subdivision on Nason Road. I think it's Joe, are you out there still?
Yeah,
Okay.
You're watching it.
He's been censured.
Good, yourself? Thank you.
Thanks. Come again.
Okay, Joe, anytime you're ready. We're good.
Thank you. Bill asked me to come in tonight seeking a revision to Lot 7 on the subdivision. Basically, I think all but 2 of the lots at this point have been purchased and are in some stage of being built out. But as the homeowner in Lot 8 chose to build, pretty far back and kind of towards the left on Lot 8 here. And then as Bill prepped this site for Lot 7, just following the contours and kind of honoring kind of a little natural drainage run that kind of runs between lot 7 and 8. It seems like a much better idea to build a little bit further to the north, give this homeowner in lot 8 a little bit more of a buffer, and also kind of stay away from the little bit of drainage that's going on down in this direction. So what we're proposing here for modification to lot 7 is the exact same square footage as was already previously approved. We're just shortening the lot up by, I think, about 130 feet and adding that square footage over in this direction. The red line here is the currently approved lot line, and the black is what we're proposing. Again, just kind of shifting where the square footage is located with the hopes of being able to put the building on the lot up here for those two reasons, to get it away from, kind of a naturally, an area where the water's draining now over in this direction, and then more so to not stack these two homes right next to each other. I mean, sure, they meet the current setbacks, but just think it would make for a much nicer existence for both lot 7 and 8. So that's what we're proposing to do is basically widen this lot by 50 feet in this direction, and then make up for that extra square footage by taking it away from the back of the currently approved lot.
Joe, is that right where the water seems to collect? I don't know, there's been times when we've had rain that the water somewhere over on that side has quite a pond.
Well, up here, before the subdivision and even during the construction process of the road, there was some water collection that was happening on the edge of the subdivision here and at the back of this lot. And I assume that's what had caught your attention when you were out there, maybe not.
Yeah.
And that was a big part of why we had the engineer, now we have a good ditch system and a culvert, and it fills, and it raises the level at least half to 3/4 of the way up in that pond. It did this spring during a couple of the rain events. So, but there is still a little bit of, we're not talking much. When I was out there checking things out after a rain event, there was 2-3 inches of water that kind of settled in on this lot line right here. It wasn't too significant. I don't think these people have had any issues with water in their basement or anything like that. It is very well drained soil out there, but just again, when Bill kind of stumped this lot and started flattening it out, it kind of became apparent. And if I don't know, I did bring a couple pictures of it so you guys could see it to some degree. I'd emailed them over. I don't know if Ken's going to be able to pull them up on the computer screen or not.
Yeah, do we have,
if he's got the picture
do you know Joe?
Let me ask you another question, Joe, while we're waiting for this. Do I recollect that, was it lot 8 perhaps, that we made a change also because of the original foundation that was put in, perhaps maybe not inside of the correct spot?
Yeah, these people on lot 8 had basically put the structure a little further back than it was intended. They kind of tucked it up in this back left corner here, and we made some adjustments to make sure that,
Joe, is this the one you're looking for?
Yes, so this is on the site looking back towards the road, and you can kind of see how there's the flat area that came together with that. The pink flags on the right-hand side are the current boundary line, what I have shown in red here.
Yeah.
And then the stake with the blue flag on it, we kind of drove in at the center of where, once the lot was cleared, it looked to us like the building should go. And so, yeah, there's one photo, I think, looking at it from a slightly different direction too. And
That's the same one. That's the same one, isn't it?
That's the same one, yeah. Yeah, that's a different one.
yeah, so I guess you can kind of see that same line from the direction. You can kind of see how the area that's cleared and prepped kind of heads off to the left. But what I guess I didn't take a good photo was is off to the right of the stake with the blue on it too far. You know, I think as a result of the clearing of this lot and as a result of the grading that happened on Lot 8, there is a little pocket that is a little bit wet there now, that kind of hugs this lot line. And that would be part of the goal of this, is to be able to set the house over 20, 30 feet further away from that.
Is there a difference, much of a difference in the type of soils that are in the existing lot and what you're proposing to change to the backside there?
You know, I haven't tested anything, I'm not a soils engineer, but these soils that are up top here in this photograph seem a bit better drained than, again, this little pocket that's sort of developed on the side. I think most of it is pretty much, you know, gravel with a heavy content of sand in the gravel, but you know, from 20 feet here, 20 feet there, I don't think it changes a whole heck of a lot, but that would, those are really the two reasons. You know, we can, you know, in the other instance you're talking about, we kind of coming in begging for forgiveness. Somebody made a mistake. We're trying to fix it. In this instance, we more feel like we're, you know, we certainly can go ahead and build where the planning board approved before. We just think for the owners of lot 7 and 8, this would be a better situation and result in a better building.
in the leach? Yeah,
What's
the wells in the leach field.
Yep.
Where?
What's that?
Where?
There, we haven't, the leach field location I haven't changed on the plan. It's still the pink rectangle that you see with the blue buffer is the zone around it where you're not supposed to put the well. I did slide the well forward. I don't know if she can zoom in on it, but if you can see the little round circle that's outside, well, there's no need. I can just go over and point to it.
We got a pointer.
So what it is, the pink areas are the proposed leach field locations. We were showing we had room to maintain the distances. Yeah, purple, yeah. Apparently only one syllable. But at this point in time, our proposal is to utilize the same test pit we did previously. The restriction being they can't put a well anywhere inside the blue circle, so they'd have to put it along their back.
So you're talking here?
Yes, that's correct.
Right there, that small circle.
Yeah. And you know, so that was consistent throughout the whole neighborhood. We kind of kept the septic systems out towards the road so we could keep the wells in the back. And
I see there's one there and one there, and there.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that's the proposed well location that I'm currently
So
showing
you're
in
going
this.
from long and skinny to short and fat.
Yeah, again, this area here is just where it seems very likely, if any one of us pulled up to the site, yeah, that's where I think the house should go now that it's been prepared. And again, it's nothing for Bill to go ahead and do a little bit more prep work back here, but again, this house is tucked up very close to the line, kind of back in this corner. We really don't, if we can get your permission, we'd rather have the building sitting up here rather than back in here somewhere is what I'm going.
Does anybody see any issues with making that change? Anybody have any questions or concerns?
Okay to me.
Yeah, I don't see any major issues at all.
You're good with that too?
And I think
Does it change the driveway layout that much?
No, both, they've already kind of roughed in an opening for the driveway. I think it's going to go in the exact same
Yeah.
location in either configuration. It's,
And it doesn't impact that ditch. I mean, the ditch is the ditch. It's still going to run in front of it. It's just going to run a little bit further in front of it.
right.
It's not running further, but the lot, they're going to be adjacent to it in more area.
Right, it is going to be closer to the pond, so to speak.
Right, again, this entrance is already in, and what they've done is they've kind of come off the end of this at an angle, so they
Yeah.
haven't impacted the ditch at all with that. They do have a culvert under the end of the driveway. There's one here, and there's one on the driveway for this lot. There's a series of 3 culverts. But no, it's, as the water ran this spring even, there's no proposed change to that. That was already installed. And there's no plan to modify that. It's more just where the building would be going.
Alrighty then, or one more time, any other question? Time disappeared. How about a motion then?
I'll make a motion, we accept the modifications to the Nason Farm subdivision.
For lot 7.
For
Lot
lot
7.
For lot 7. I'll second her motion.
One final time, comments, questions?
Gavin, you satisfied on the water part?
I think so. I mean, it's kind of like what we did with them last time they came
Right.
in, sort of.
Right.
It's not huge, it's just
Right.
because the thing is so set in concrete where they're supposed to be, they have to go through the
And it
process.
will make
Right.
it better for the people too.
I think it's a friendlier thing, yeah.
You didn't see anything with this, did you, Ken?
No, I looked at it real quickly, I was out on site with the developer, I think it was a couple of months ago, and he was walking me through moving this, changing that, and it just made sense out there.
They're happy with it, okay.
Okay.
All right, that being said, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed at 0. Okay, so 5-0. The alternates would have voted, so 5-0. Okay, Joe, you're good.
Perfect, thank you. I will have to record the change at the registry, so I do have a modified Mylar if I can get us some signatures at some point here.
Do you need Sharpies? Do you have?
I've got
I know you
got
do.
He's the one who always has it.
Yeah, you got to. You don't leave a little
Strike
thing
while
like
it's hot,
that.
right?
I don't know, you can do it now or after, I don't care, but yeah, I do need to record the change to make it.
And you bring us back a copy of the recording?
Yes, and I have 2 paper copies too, if you want to take one now, just for the file.
All right, thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
And you can pick those up tomorrow? Or anytime after tomorrow? Okay. So then, Joe, we'll do it before we sign, before we leave, and then you're gonna pick them up tomorrow, anytime
Absolutely,
in the next few days.
appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, next on the agenda, Dan and Jane, both of you coming up? Jump in here if you want.
He brought the weapon, the boss is in.
About the boss.
My secret weapon.
Yeah.
Okay, so as I understand it, we're still kind of in the preliminary to some degree, and you're going to kind of maybe refresh our memories as to what's going on or what has changed. and things
Well,
along those lines.
I sent Ken the updated plans,
Right, I'm looking at
and he has it on for,
They're trying to make their way slowly here. Something's up.
oh yeah, I brought a hard copy. So basically what we did was, I hired an engineering firm out of Gorham, CH2M. And they did a layout of the proposal.
Send that around to my electronic copy.
We also went and had a meeting with DEP. The DEP told us what they wanted to see on the site map. So with that information, the engineering firm did that. This survey map, or this plan I have right now is 75% complete. So all I'm waiting for now is, they'll finish this up this week, is the hydraulic soils, septic systems, things of that nature.
Electrical? Do you have somebody who's going to,
That'll be done with my electrician and Kent. But that's, the CMP's already gonna run power up there with power lines, and it's gonna go underground at the top of the hill. Every 500 feet, there'll be a transformer to carry the electrical load all the way around.
how about when you were talking before about the soils, were you referring to where the leach fields will be and things along those lines?
Correct.
The soils are for those?
Yeah, what I mean by that is that any kind of, we have to treat all the water, so rainwater, any kind of storm water.
Stormwater.
So that's all in that, that's one of the requirements on the site review plan. So that these lines right here, these are ditch lines. These are about a foot down, 2 feet down, and this is what, these are just trenches for the water to flow in. It has culverts.
Or do you have it up?
It's up there.
Gotcha.
Do you want to point them?
Just point, push a button.
Push the button and point.
Oh, I'm good at pushing buttons. Okay, so what you're looking at right now is about $12,660 of engineering design. And you're looking at about $1.45 in colored pencils and markers. Now, I apologize, my kids are like 24, 25 now, so it's been about 10, 15 years since I've colored.
Well done.
Thanks.
So he did do the coloring.
Right. Those are the underground utilities, so different colors on there mean different things. The orange is electric line. That's going to be the electric, how the electric's going to be run. It's going to be run under the gravel road throughout the whole campground.
And when you say before that the power company was going to bring it in above ground to the top of the hill, is that first straight line way over on the right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, where the green square is on the right. It's kind of up there.
We're right about overhead power right to about this location, and then from there it'll be underground. This is H Road right here. That's H Road. Okay. Initially, I was going to have power brought in, but the telephone pole would have been right there inside the resource protection, so I put a stop to that because I don't want anything in the resource protection. Nothing in this campground being a resource at all. Zero.
Will any of the stormwater be going into the resource protection?
No.
For
No,
filtration?
They can't.
No,
It's got to be contained inside.
Yep.
they'll have the buffers and the berms, and they're gonna do the layout of that too, but that's how they're engineering it.
That's, see all that right there? That's, everything's just being protected, so nothing goes into the resource protection area.
So no runoff, no.
No, zero. And then we see, after you guys do a sidewalk up there, you'll see how far that buffer is. The 250 feet is quite substantial.
It's almost a football field.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
huge. So and that's one of the key reasons why I think campgrounds would be beautiful up there. The lot is outstanding. I don't know if you've ever been up there, but it's a phenomenal area. So the blue, of course, that's the water line going through. The X's, X marks those blue X's, those are going to be possible well locations, which is actually incorrect. I measured off from the pump box 100 feet to here. Since it's going to be considered a public water supply, 300 feet. So these well locations we'll have to identify those at a later date until I know for certain that septic systems are going to be at those specific locations. So I don't want to put the cart before the horse on that. So I'm going to put the septics in first, and then I'll deal with the
I mean, how about hypothetically, can you come up with approximately an area from those pump boxes that you would be able to use?
Oh, sure, anything on this side.
Oh, okay, right, there's nothing. over
Yeah,
there.
there's nothing over
There's
there.
nothing there.
Septics are all gravity? Or do you have pump stations?
All gravity.
Yeah, so the water we can pump, and it's easier than pumping the sewage.
Correct.
No.
Yeah, and I'd like to have at least 3 wells up there. In case one does fail, I have another well that's tied in.
Yeah.
So I don't have, guests out of water.
Yep. A lot of times they'll have a holding tank of 1,000 gallons or 2,000, so really you've got tomorrow's water today and it just pumps over the night and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The plan has changed many times throughout the process, and they've really zoned in pretty good as far as the flow of the vehicles coming in, how you're parking it, the flow coming out. It's a great loop they've got there, and I think pulling a camper in it, it's really going to be easy.
Easy.
Yeah. Are you still thinking dump station on the way out?
I am. I mean, it's not necessary, but I think I'd like one.
Yep.
Just because it's there.
Yeah.
And it is just an added service.
I mean, it's something you can contract with, Stoning Road to come and pump them out while they sit there. But I think when we did our traveling, we felt it was just beneficial to be able to dump, right there.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Now keep in mind, all the sites will have septic service, so they can tie into that anytime they want.
On this side.
If not, they're tents.
Well, not the tents,
Yeah.
but the tents doesn't matter.
Not this side. This side.
Correct. Oh, no, this is all septic. That's the drainage right
So back to the water for a minute.
there. Sure.
What Ken, I think, was referring to is maybe a 500-gallon tank kind of a thing to be able to have something ready for any large amount of water being used by the people. To give you another scenario, what happens if all of a sudden there's all the showers being used and everybody's cooking and all of a sudden the water pressure is down low over, let's say, a holiday weekend? What is then the backup? Other than, yes, you have another well, but that is only bringing what's coming out of the ground to the houses, but not a tremendous amount of water, I guess is what I'm saying. I guess where I'm going with that is, having an experience where being in an area where we've had trouble with amounts of water, on an island, let's say, and having a 500-gallon tank and some extra old tanks and that kind of thing, and under normal circumstances worked great. Holidays, forget it. There would be 40 houses that didn't have water. Turn the faucet on, nothing. So what we attempted to do was put another 500-gallon tank in. And that was with 2 wells. So put another 500-gallon tank on the other side, and magically, nobody's ever been without water. And again, I'm maybe talking about, monies that you don't have to spend or whatever, but boy, did it take care of that problem.
Well, it really depends on when we dig the well. If I'm gonna get 10 gallons a minute, I'm gonna get 40 gallons a minute. So whatever I get the well, whatever amount of volume I get from the well, I can calculate how many gallons per site we'll use, per day. Then I can figure out if that well can handle that, if 3 wells can handle that, and if not, then I'll do, obviously I'll do what you just, what they did in Treasure Island, is put a storage tank in.
Yeah.
Because nobody wants to run out of water. It's not fun.
No.
Not good for business.
No.
No.
And we may live right up the road, but I don't need to be sharing
You
my
don't want to be,
Oh, yeah.
may I get a glass of water, please?
No.
Yeah. So no, that's a good point, and that's definitely an issue. We'll look at it when
Definitely.
they drill the well. We'll figure
And
out.
again, with forethought, if it's up high, then it's gravity going down versus
Gravity
pushing it
going
to
down.
come back
Yeah.
down. Yeah.
That's why it's
Yeah.
key to have it on that side, because that's the higher
The high
side.
side, yeah.
That's why the septic systems are on this side. This is the low side of the land.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's been a long winter, so you have a lot of things to think about.
Every day, every night.
And connection,
You noticed winter was long and cold this year.
Well,
I had a question. I looked at these a little bit ago. You have 2-way traffic in the beginning coming in. But where does it split?
It will split right at the.
No, it's okay. Wait.
Okay. So the traffic will flow straight in.
Yeah.
Okay. And at this point here, this intersection, take a right.
Yeah.
And then it goes one way all the way
So
around.
any emergency access is clear and plenty of,
Size of the roads?
oh, well, I know that. I know I should never assume, but I'm assuming that's absolutely.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
this road is all designed for a Class A, which is
Yeah.
a 50-foot mobile home.
Mobile home, yeah.
I can
yeah,
accommodate 3 of those in these plans.
Yeah, yeah,
So whatever they can go, fire trucks can go.
yeah. Or the kid who walks through the fire and the ambulance is on its way.
Oh, yeah, no,
Oh,
it's-
my
it's-
husband
it's-
did that once.
oh my God, don't even tell me that. Great.
Yeah, the size of the road is well suited for that situation.
So during pre-application for a site plan, the planning board can set up a site walk just to go out there and get a good gist early on to really know what we're talking about, because when we come back in for the official pre-app meeting and we're starting to talk waivers, you guys would have a better understanding to grant a waiver or maybe request more additional information, and then we can, after we have that, then further on in the process, if you felt you needed another site walk, we could do another one, but this size project, maybe it's best we do a site walk early on.
Well, it's gonna be let up for a half hour if you guys wanna go. I'll make some s'mores.
It's all getting Yoli's camper over there.
I didn't bring my tick spray.
The campground has decreased in size to 57 units, 57 spots. So it's, in campground standards or campground sizes, it's a very extremely small campground. We're at
Max.
max. There's no room for growth. There's not going to be any.
Phase 1, phase 2,
No,
phase 3.
this is it.
But in campground standards, these are huge lots.
Yes.
When you
What's
open
the
your awning,
size?
you're not gonna hit your neighbors.
The actual,
RV.
no, yeah, no.
What's the actual size?
5,000 square feet.
So that's,
Actually,
52,
5,200.
that includes
so that's about 71 by 71 if you're
Correct.
doing squares.
Square. Yep.
So,
50 by 100 or
Yep.
Yeah,
plus.
yeah. but-
so Dan, the
That's per the town standards.
the 57 sites is both RV and tent and everything?
Everything.
On the tent sites, you can put more than one tent, you know, or you could allow a couple tents, because some people have family that has,
Yeah.
they sleep in
Yeah.
separate tents, so, you know, that we'll figure that one out, but the tent sites don't have septic, they're gonna have access to water, and I think
In that,
little area, they're kind of grouped together. We'll have one group tenting, but
And we're
a
thinking a couple of camping cabins still.
couple camping cabins.
Yes.
How many cabins?
I like, the plans are for 5. I don't think we'll have 5 in there
Yeah.
when we want to open.
Financially, for us, those will be in phases,
Yeah, yeah.
So-
At least you're approved for it.
but they'll be ready
Yeah,
like.
But you'll be all set to go with it.
Yes.
All set to go, the pad will be there, the water lift will be there, it will be plumbed in, it just will be empty until.
Would you use it for an RV site now and then convert to cabins when you want to?
Didn't even
needed
think of
to?
that.
Don't want to, don't need to. I don't think it's gonna be,
Sold out.
no. Not at all,
No.
no.
It's gonna take a
We'll be
while.
lucky to be quarter full for a few years anyway.
No.
And Jane's going, yes it will, yes
I
it will.
know.
Yeah, this is gonna be, it's definitely gonna be, take a
It's
while
a
to get
work in
established.
progress, yeah.
Which is fine. It's not, Rome wasn't built in a day, right?
So how far out do you think the final plans, the septic, stormwater?
2 weeks.
2 weeks for that?
This week, the engineering firm will have all the rest of the details finalized as far as the septic designs and the stormwater and all the other essential information. And that will be sent to DEP for their review.
Yep.
And then after about a month, we'll hear back. But it's, like I said, we've already been to DEP. We've had 2 meetings with them. They specifically told us what they wanted, and it's here actually already, so.
Yeah.
I
And we
don't
can-
foresee a problem with DEP.
And we can have more information on the electrical too.
Yeah,
Our
if you
electrician.
want some.
He hasn't gotten anything.
well, I haven't seen it, so I was just
Yeah.
curious.
Yeah, right now it just shows a line.
Right.
I can tell, it's, the larger sites for the larger RVs will be 50 amp, the smaller services will be 30 amp, there'll be 110s at the tent sites. People want to plug in their cell phones or whatever.
Refrigerators.
Um,
You
Refrigerators?
see that a lot.
Yeah,
The small.
the small refrigerators are second
Yeah,
ones.
air conditioner in the tent.
I do,
Jeez, really?
at the office,
Especially the white one.
there will be 4 washers and 4 dryers. So that's a
I have a
draw there.
laundromat in town now.
Yeah, don't let the word get out.
Yeah, really, don't spread the word.
Won't have winter hours for laundry.
No, close down.
No.
Again, we know where they live.
Are they
Yeah.
doing a profile of the road so you can kind of look at the,
What I've asked for is center of the road all the way through, the
Yeah.
whole loop, and then I'm gonna locate and mark every other site, the entrance to every other site, and then you'll see where the proposed bathhouses will be.
Which are,
which are here, these beautiful looking places of,
Wow, that's advanced coloring. Did you come up with it?
Dan colored these.
I got my inspiration from Tom Cashin on this one.
Looks like
You
they're
know,
right
I've
from
been nailed to the
LL,
name for years.
right from LL
I think you'd be,
Cute.
Very cute.
I think you'll be happy with the plans.
Yeah. So we have two bathhouses that have, each have, two larger ones have handicap and shower, a regular shower, a toilet, and then just a little sink on the outside for people that are tented, they can wash, stuff.
That's
And-
Ken's idea.
Yeah, thank you, Ken. And then this is just going to be further down here. It's kind of in the entrance, it's in the entrance area, but it's just for access to people if they just need, it's like a 2 double bathroom. Just it's not a shower in that one, but we have the right amount that falls under standard codes.
Actually, more than enough.
We do, and believe it or not, that doesn't sound like a lot for 57 sites, but you remember these RVs each have their own shower and toilet
They have their own.
and bathroom. So the standards to figure that out. it
yeah,
falls
so
under
it's
that.
basically your tenters will be,
Yeah,
Basically,
yeah.
and we also have 2 handicap accessible ones.
which is
So,
one more than we really need, but why not?
why
you know?
not? You know,
Anybody can use them really,
Yeah.
but they're,
Yeah,
I think, maybe.
Yeah,
And
they
you're
can.
working with Department of Health and Human Services for campground licensing, I believe is where they go.
Yes,
Yep.
they fall under that criteria.
Yep.
We have to have their license in order to operate.
Yeah.
But that's, yeah, that's cart before the horse again.
Are we there yet?
Yeah.
We're not in there,
But just if
we gotta
they have
get-
any standards or something, and
Oh.
your engineer firm,
Yeah, he
Yeah,
did.
he did.
Yeah,
working with them, so.
yeah, he followed all those.
and
Yep.
this is cart before the horse too, but when you just said that, you're gonna have like an AED station there, first aid or something like that. Not with a person, but where
No, no.
someone can go and.
I certainly can, it's a great
Yeah,
idea.
I
and
didn't
probably
actually
should.
think about that.
Probably should have one in each bathhouse.
Yeah,
That'd be located,
actually could be right by the sinks.
I think they're what, $500?
Something in that range.
Something like
They've
that.
come down dramatically.
Yeah,
in the past
and
few years.
you can, actually, some insurance companies will,
That's a good
Really?
idea.
you
You're
know.
right that time. Yeah, we can
The
definitely do
little
that.
cross on the plan.
Yeah.
Red
Yeah.
Cross.
Yeah. No, that's,
Didn't think of that, IED.
I caught somewhere that the RVs or each of the lots would have the ability to have an open fire, campfire kind of a thing.
That's a state law, they have to.
I was gonna say, I think it's in our town ordinance.
In the ordinance, it says every site has a fireplace or
Yeah,
a
What
fire
I was-
pit.
what I was really
Yeah.
driving at was, I know that those are, controlled to some degree anyway by, the fire dangers. And I was curious as to how, a camper would know that the fire danger is up so high that, quote, no fires are, to be used or something.
That's my responsibility.
all right, we have to, we'll be posting that on a daily basis on how everything's, going, and we'll definitely be, at
Yeah.
night, we will be there. There'll be somebody there patrolling, but we'll make sure that people are aware of that.
Get your Smokey the Bear sign out.
Exactly,
with,
yeah,
Red
high,
flag.
low,
Yeah.
like definitely, actually, I'm looking for one, so if you know of anybody that has one, an old one,
Yeah.
a cool old one.
What I'm using up there is fire rings, and these are large commercial tractor trailer rims. They're heavy duty, they're tall, and they're self-contained for that reason. The actual fire pit will be on gravel, the whole area will be gravel, there's not really gonna be a chance of spark to be able to be emitted.
And they shouldn't be moving them, you know what I mean? The
They're
fire
too
pits
heavy.
where they are.
Too heavy to move.
That's, they stay where they are.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the gravel area pad you see, that's designated as the fire pit, picnic table, things of that nature.
And any like underbrush and stuff will be away from that area that.
Yep.
Because it is a law that you have to have a firing and a picnic table.
Yeah,
And
I could not
Which
believe.
finds weird that they're telling you
I
you
could
have
not
to.
believe you had to have a picnic
Well, how about if I
table.
want a little bistro set?
Yeah.
Am I allowed that instead?
Uh,
Instead of a picnic table, maybe?
You know,
I don't know yet.
what's Martin's got special? you
I
know?
know.
We'll take 57 bistro sets.
Any other questions from anybody?
I think one of the concerns I had early on was just whether it's security or manager there during the night. I know you guys are right out the street, but that's as simple as delegating. You see in a lot of the national parks that this is the campground host or something like
Yes.
that. That just there's somebody available
Yes.
to
We'll,
squash an issue or.
yeah, we probably will try to work with somebody actually that will barter something
You
with
got
them. or-
June, July, August, you're all set.
All set, thank you. Sign in, please.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
first two spots in the campground, that's what Jane and I have been thinking about, I think the hosting spots.
No.
We haven't looked into the program deeply yet, just because we're trying to figure out this, but
But people
They're
love
usually
that.
the people that sell firewood and make thousands of dollars.
Yeah,
A couple of little
exactly.
handfuls of wood and ice. You got the ice
Exactly.
going.
They've got the ice machine and the
Yeah,
firewood
yeah,
and
and the AED.
so, you know.
I might be calling.
And everybody's retirement job.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's gonna be a low-key campground. I really want this to be more like a state park. That's my vision. And when you see the land, you'll understand why.
National park.
Oh, national park.
National
So
park.
some of the state parks were
Pretty rough.
pretty rough. I was trying to look for
Oh, but
this.
national park's way up there. Ooh, I don't know about that.
Well, that's where you have the buffers in between the sites. You've got a lot of room and
5,200 square feet per site is huge.
it's huge. Yeah, yeah. I've had people with proposals 10 years ago come in and when they saw the 5,000, they were trying to ask me if I knew what that meant. I'm like, yeah, my camp is on one right now. Because once you've been on the 1,000 square foot one and your awning hits the other guy's campfire and it's not camping.
No.
Especially when you come from a rural area and you go to one of those campgrounds and it's like, this isn't relaxing.
Yeah. There's a lot of, I mean, the land up there has been forested twice. It's been harvested twice. There's a lot of cut trees, like maples and birches and stuff that were cut down, but there's seedlings coming up on the sides of the stumps. Keeping all that, because that's all privacy. So I'm really trying to limit what I'm taking out there as far as the trees go and keep everything natural. There's a lot of blueberry plants up there.
Yeah.
If everybody wants blueberry season, go up,
Bushes.
please, go get them.
Oh, when can we do the
I
site
bush,
visit?
no bush.
Oh,
Visit.
planted on blueberry season. Bring your bucket.
Yeah, so each site, if there's blueberries, I'm gonna have to dig them up and transplant them, because the logging roads I've been cleaning up and stuff, but that'd be a good spot for them in the logging roads, because I don't need a path that wide, and I don't really want a path that wide. So I'm gonna reuse and recycle everything I can up there.
We used to camp years ago in the campgrounds. We'd go to, one of the biggest problems they'd always talk about was rowdies and how to deal with the rowdies.
Yeah,
Any suggestions?
well,
June, July. They better earn their money.
Our answer was to go to higher end campgrounds.
yeah,
I'm hoping we don't have that many rowdies.
that might happen every once in a while. I don't think that happens at Apple Valley much at all. But I don't really I won't put up.
I think it's like anybody who,
Hopefully we have no crazy rowdy.
I think it's like anybody even who rents a cottage on a lake. If you're rowdy, the first time you rent there,
Yeah, you can never
it's
come
the
back.
last time you're
Yeah.
there.
Absolutely.
You
Yeah,
know.
if you research the state of Maine and campgrounds and stuff, and all the rules and regulations are for the campground owners.
Right.
So if you're evicted, you're just gone. There's no if, ands, or what's, or buts about it. You're gone, it's done.
Hopefully.
So keep that noise down.
Yeah. We have our eye on you.
I think I already got a strike on you. Gone. Strike. No, just kidding.
We don't go camping anymore.
He's been banned from all of them.
He's been banned from all of them.
You run out of places to go?
Other states, you know. All right, anybody else?
So we got the original application back in December. He's gonna update all new stuff. I won't throw it away yet, but we'll hold it.
And do we need to meet with you
was
again
it
or
before?
to go over what
Because
exactly?
As the stuff comes in, we'll get together and put it
Tenors
together.
Can we do it in 2 weeks?
We have a second
Site for tents.
This is 21st.
But even if I didn't have tent sites,
You have something going
just
on there?
RVs, I still have to have them. Yeah, there's a requirement for,
Surgery.
if you have X amount of RV sites,
Is
there
there
has
any
to be a
chance we could do
bathroom.
like on a
There are like
Friday?
10 RV
I don't
sites.
wanna,
It's
those RVs are self-contained.
Yes. I know. But sometimes if you're a large man,
You know, what are your
you have a
office
bathroom
hours?
and
You don't-
your bathroom is
Thursdays?
very small.
Fridays.
It's
Oh,
easy to
Fridays?
relieve yourself.
I'm usually
Oh.
working 10 hours extra by the time I get to Friday, so I'm not even supposed to be here, but,
Oh.
is Tuesdays or Wednesdays good?
They're better,
Better?
yeah.
I mean, it makes, Friday
week are
doesn't
you
work
looking
for
at?
me well, but any other day does.
What's Wednesday, the 20th look like?
Like at 6?
How about you guys? You good on the 20th of June?
I'll be there. You tell me when, and I'll be there tomorrow.
If the rope is down, he's there.
Okay.
And I haven't seen the rope up yet.
I'm there 7 days a week, every day.
How about everybody else? Good on the 20th? Good.
Yeah,
Just
it's
a
okay.
question, is there anything that Dan would want to have marked up for us that we should wait?
He's got the surveys going in, doing center line of road, and
Next week.
campsites.
So
So
you'll be
we should be
flying.
looking good by then, and maybe
Yeah.
some more documentation. So it's the pre-site walk in case we need to do a second one.
Mm-hmm.
6 o'clock, you said?
Are we, is it, the road kind of scruffed in and everything, so you're kind of driving to the top, or is it all walking all the way up?
No, you drive right
Yeah,
up, because
so-
it's all,
Well, we're
It's
meeting on the 21st.
the original one that was there. It's not going to be
Yes.
that
But that's
road.
bad for you.
Yeah, Thursdays are tough because I have to do
That's-
my billing before.
Yeah, that's tough for you.
I don't get paid the next
June.
week.
so June 20th?
June 20th.
20th.
6 o'clock?
What is
6
it?
o'clock.
Yeah, Wednesdays are.
6 for everybody?
Yeah.
6?
We'll meet here or no?
Yeah, in case nobody knows, we'll be leaving here at 6 and we'll be there at 6:01. Pine Ridge.
Yeah.
No, this has to be, curious to be when this is gonna be, have a public meeting on this or some kind of discussion.
We may,
Orders.
I think the ordinance says as soon as it's on the agenda and we accept the application, we'll notify abutters at that time. Once the board determines it's a completed application, then they'll move forward with the public hearing. And at that time, they may decide they want another site walk with more information or something, but at least now, if they go out and do the pre-site walk, they'll be able to visualize it a lot better. And when we talk waivers and things like that, it'll be easier for them to understand and grant waivers or request more information, in my opinion.
I agree.
And you said you probably would have these by the 21st. You said 2 weeks. The updated plans.
Yes.
So that, I mean, so it's very fresh in our minds. where-
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, and then we see that.
Okay.
That sounds,
This part of the plan will always be this way. This isn't changing.
right.
Yeah,
This is done.
it's
Right.
just stormwater.
Stormwater.
See
More
this.
detail.
More detail.
More
More
detail.
details.
More details.
What color?
Electric.
Yeah.
More colors?
I mean, you know,
color again?
I would get the Crayola
You didn't even get to see
64.
one out.
I think so, because I think we only had 8.
Yeah, I'd go for the Crayola 64 if I were you,
So I
Dan.
had, it was,
Oh, the sheds, the bathhouses and
Oh,
yeah.
cabins.
oh, no, because I was gonna go one color at a time.
So, once we've got the final stuff put together, it's 8 copies the town will need. And if they can send it electronically or a disk or a thumb
Do
drive,
you want a PDF? PDF, is that
Yeah.
right?
PDF's good.
It's easier.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then you want 8 hard copies, though. Yes.
Does anybody any questions? Do you have any questions at all?
No, wait till we check it out more. I mean, it's still in the early stages
Yeah.
now, so.
Gonna have to visualize it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Well, anybody else? Good? All right, guys, thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you very
much.
much.
Sure thing. See you in less than 2 weeks.
Well, less than 2 weeks. Okay, let's go make some phone calls.
You know, it's nice about your situation, but you're surrounded by water.
That's right. That's right.
We might have to come out of your.
That's worse when you're surrounded by
Because it
water.
has,
Yeah, you have.
Oh, and sure you can say this, but anyways, if you go down on our land and walk kind of towards the end, there's blue heron nests on the other side, and there's baby ones. Baby
Yeah.
blue herons, they're beautiful. Hopefully get some pictures of them tomorrow.
Endangered species.
Yeah, thank you. That's what I was thinking. Do I even say this?
No, you don't.
No.
I'm gonna say it's
I
recorded.
know. It's public.
So you're talking about,
Just watch that.
your dad's property, right?
Thousands of
How is
them.
he?
Just
Look at
He's moving into assisted living. She went down.
that. Jane, I'm so sorry.
I know, me too.
You carried a lot.
Me too.
You've carried a lot. Let me know, because Buzz will,
Thank you for
we'll be in touch
coming.
with your dad.
Please, 'cause
Same,
that's what the
same kind of
Yeah.
taste as the
Yeah.
wood.
for a few months.
No, good night.
You'd love to see him.
Yeah.
So, you're on next.
With Buck's issue, he's supposed
But
to.
if you guys, if you buy the, I mean,
So when he
if
goes to
anybody's
your dad,
coming by the area,
he
the
pours
gate's
a
down,
little
come on up.
scotch.
Okay.
That's so cheers.
Won't be bad.
Yeah.
You,
Just
Gabby,
a
you wanna check it out, come on up.
Sounds good, thank you.
Thank you guys,
Thanks.
thank you very much.
Yep.
All right.
Good night.
Good
Yeah,
night.
Take it easy. Okay, code enforcement.
Um,
We have code enforcement?
I guess an update with Monarch Mountain. When they came in and did their conditional use for the gravel pit, they had stated in why they were talking that there was no retail sales. They said it a couple of times, but we never put it in as a condition. We do have a complaint that they are selling retail, but it's not a condition. They're still limited to the amount of trucks that can come in and out of there. They were in there a little early. I had to talk to them. They haven't been in there early since. So, does the board see that as an issue? It's not a condition. We didn't put a condition on it. They did tell us there was no retail, and the next day they had somebody buying in there. We had the discussion, and it's like, well, we weren't promoting retail sales. They really don't want people in there because it's more of a pain for them than it is profitable.
It doesn't seem like it would be that time efficient for them.
No, because they're trying to get their trucks out and do processing.
Right.
Yes.
What, I mean, when you say retail, I go knock at the gate and say, I want 3 bags of.
No, you would
or-
come in with a one-ton and say, I
With a
want half a
one-ton.
scoop of dirt.
Yeah.
Or in this
X
case,
amount for a small load or whatever.
Yeah,
they
Yeah,
tell you.
small load or something.
it would be the same as the town. We want 3,000 yards of winter sand and it's the best price in town, and we'd say no retail sales. So I think they would just use the wrong words, that they weren't going to have scales there. Hours of operation, they really weren't running accounts for people, talking with some of the managers when we originally had the issue right off the bat. I'm like, you said no retail sales, you said it 3 times the night before.
Yeah.
I haven't gone back and watched the video, but I do remember him saying that.
Yeah,
So-
yeah.
So we do have a complaint that they are selling to retail sales, and we never put it as a condition on the plan.
But wouldn't it count for something that it was part of their proposal?
It was only verbal comments they made during it. It was nothing they had never written down. we
Verbal,
didn't-
that's video.
No, no, but
I mean,
video
so
is
it's proof.
nothing. The minutes of the meeting are the legal copy of what happened. We haven't gone to video yet and approved. I haven't read the minutes. We do limit, I think 80 trucks a day is what the condition is there, so that counts as the 80 trucks.
But if they do 81 a day or 82 a day, who's gonna know?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, you're not gonna be able to enforce that
Their
part.
trucks, I
It's
mean,
that
they're running
close.
doing 4 trips. I bet they're a third of that generally.
Really?
Yeah, because they're trucking so far.
Down in
Yeah.
Barrington or something.
Past that,
Last,
Brentwood.
oh yeah. we Brentwood.
Really?
Past Epping.
Brentwood.
Yeah.
So who would be the retail sale, who's coming in?
Currently, there was somebody that fixed a road on Great East Lake. They had about maybe a half mile of road they did, so they were coming in and grabbing a bunch of crushed gravel to fix the road up.
That's making
So they were
sense.
making some trips back and forth
Yeah.
because it was only right up the street.
Few trucks.
Few
Yeah.
trucks,
Yeah.
yeah.
So really, we don't have a recourse anyway.
Well, that's what I was just looking at. If the board felt strongly, I would go back and take a look and and see if there was something and bring them back in, but they're below the 80 trips, so I didn't, just seeing if the board had a concern.
Well, it sounds like, just with this little information, we're probably talking about a private road association fixing up their road, and
I
it's
believe
good.
the town bought some material
The
from
town-
it, too.
well-
And doing the edges of
Excuse me,
H Road through.
time out.
Now we have a problem.
Now we've got a problem,
Of course, most people say, I'm just trying to get my tax money back.
you know?
They're at the camp 4 months a year to get my tax money.
You know, time out, now we got a problem.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I think we're opening a can of worms. We can't say who's doing it, they're under 80 trucks, we feel. We didn't nail it down in the beginning, how far back we want to go.
Does it say anything in the application about being like wholesale or for their own,
No,
supporting
it's,
their own?
I
I
don't
don't
see
think
how
it
it's
it
good.
matters, but one comment we made while we were discussing was most of the trucks will be turning left going directly into New Hampshire.
Yeah,
this went across the street. It did turn left, but then it turned a quick right.
then it went across the
So
street.
technically, I guess they did go left, but that's
All
all,
down Sanborn.
yeah. What are they open, 8 hours a day, 9?
I don't see how it's detrimental to the town.
I don't see it.
I don't either.
Yeah, it might even be helpful in some ways. and-
The
It
80
could-
trips a day with 9 hours open is
Yeah, I
truck
think
every
it's-
7 minutes.
It's more helpful than
So-
hurtful.
They'd have to be running 15, 20 trucks a,
Right, they don't own that many trucks.
No.
Yeah, well, that's where the retail comes in. Retail is, you know, still, I mean, so basically, if I sat there for an hour, I'm usually seeing, if the truck's just left, they don't come back for 2 hours. So you get 2 hours of nothing going in, which is, you know, 20 vehicles come in that time roughly.
So one way to look at it was that there's small amount of retail sales is actually beneficial to the town because town people are getting the materials, spending the money.
I think one of the things retail sales is why they didn't want to have accounts. They
Right.
don't want most, especially towns, they don't want people handling money. You know,
Right.
you don't want to pay cash for stuff, especially for a product that you can't inventory.
Yeah.
So that's usually why a lot of places will run accounts, but then now you've got people that owe you a ton of money and
gotta catch up to.
you gotta catch up to them. You know, and where they're a national company, I think they do have places that have retail sales and a retail side and stuff like that. Talking with some of them, that was what they kind of meant, but they overstated trying to be great neighbors, I think.
Yeah. When was your first application? This was updated in February. Because there's nothing
Of the
on it.
I would say it's been 3 years, at least,
oh,
maybe 4.
Yeah,
It's been a while.
a long time, okay, yeah.
I mean, I don't think anybody really has any major issue with it,
No.
correct? Am I getting
No.
that sense?
I keep monitoring it, I'll spend,
If all of a sudden we have
21
20
minutes
people who
there
are
and see.
complaining because there's all kinds of stuff going on, then maybe we need to do it.
but at that point, even if I spent an hour or two just watching to see what the amount of flow was, I mean, I'm supposed to, at that 80 count, I'm needing to see one every 7 minutes, but less than 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And somebody fixing a gravel road right up the street, they're gonna be still 35, 40 minutes to go and dump and come back.
Right.
But that's gonna look like, and a lot of it is just how people drive.
And going up the road a bit, they're not coming in with a big,
Tractor trailer, yeah.
Right.
tractor trailer, they're coming in with a dump.
And we had said that with the original owner that owned it before these people, when it was I think it was a 40 trips we limited it to. It was a lot less, and it was hard because a 1-ton truck came in and a tractor trailer. It's 20 trips for that 1 ton to equal the tractor trailer, but we looked at trips. as far as just, bothering the neighborhood.
Yeah. All right, any other problems with that? We good? All right, so I don't think we need to
No
make anything
problems.
official, we'll just go from there. Anything else, Ken?
July 5th planning board meeting, do we want to,
Cancel.
I was trying to think of good words so they didn't cut your pay.
Have fireworks?
Skip.
Yeah, I mean, I personally won't be there.
Okay, there's one gone. Bob made the motion to,
I won't be there either.
there's two.
There's two.
Chair and vice chair. Oh, yeah. Didn't we do that last time?
So I think we'll just hold off and not do that meeting, and we'll just come back in 2 weeks after that, which would be the
Hey, I'm not here either.
19th. Perhaps the 19th.
Yeah.
The 19th?
19th, I think, is the third week.
It is.
If I have it right.
It is, yeah,
Okay.
third week.
Okay, so no meeting on the 5th. Perfect.
Ken, did you get that message I left with Christine?
I think I had a copy of, Tom wanted to talk about warrant article 43,
The one that calls for the
private road, stone
Camp
road.
Road erosion sedimentation controls. Yeah. I noticed it the other day and I thought you might give us a quick 2-minute review of what that is all about.
Oh, for me? I have no idea.
Okay.
I didn't know until Tom wants to know about Article 43, so I went up and grabbed a copy of Article 43 to read it. It seems like the private roads want funding directed towards them, whether it's through the town or the DEP, and there's a lot of restrictions to get that. It's similar to a lot of the lake associations are asking for money for the weed protection or mitigation of milfoils and things like that. So if you have a legal association that's a 501c3 nonprofit, then you're setting yourself up to work with grant money, whether it's town or state, so you can mitigate erosion control issues, and the roads are the worst offenders. On these job sites and homes, we keep saving a spoonful here and a spoonful there, and then you go up the road and look at the corner and you just see it all washing down and you're seeing tons and tons of yards of material going into the lake. A lot of road associations have aggressively taken care of issues. Tattle Street has a management plan. Abbott Road does a tremendous amount of work out there. Lakeside Drive does some. 7th Street has repaved and stuff. 13th Street, a lot of the private roads have done a tremendous amount of work, and I think they're looking for an avenue to receive funding to help mitigate stormwater without reading and knowing exactly. That's how I took it.
There seem to be a lot of law citations there that
The hoops to jump through.
created the conditions for doing that.
Yeah. Quite often when you get free money, there's a lot of hoops to go through, and sometimes it's not worth it, but...
There's quite a bit of, it's been on Facebook forever. Now, and there's quite a bit on state law as far as money going to the road associations, and it's very interesting to read. On one hand, they're saying private association. On the other hand, they're saying protecting the water and that, so, but it's all on there, What's Up Act, and
Is there a
you can find
state
it.
match, does anybody know, related to this thing?
That I
The
don't
first
know.
I heard of it was when you called this morning.
Yeah,
I wonder who proposed it,
I think it's gotta be coming from that road committee.
or a lake association group?
the Lake Association, I think.
I thought that the road committee in town was pushing for, the private roads and help, financial help for the private roads.
Yeah.
I know they always have been requesting it.
Because a tremendous amount of the tax revenue comes from private roads and
Yeah,
seasonal residents.
sure.
Leslie would know about it, she's part of it.
So not really any answer for it.
Oh, I was kind of figuring it was on the up and up, but I'm just curious if you know details about it. I mean, it's a good way to utilize some town funds, but it's kind of, on the other hand, it's a never-ending issue. But I think the Board of Selectmen approved it, and the Warrant and Finance recommended it.
so
Mm.
they had more information.
I'll pull the information that I got and shoot it over to you.
Great, thank you.
Anything else?
Oh, we should try to go to town meeting.
Town meeting is a week.
Next
it would be
Saturday.
Next Saturday.
15th, 13th? 16th.
16.
16th.
Are you gonna go to town meeting, Ken?
Yep. That was our hope with the several meetings before the public hearings and a couple of informational meetings, so we're not talking, how does this affect my lot? Well, hopefully we weeded all those questions out. And it was great to see the turnout, so unintentionally, it was very good that you put public hearing in the paper.
Thank you.
It got the photos out.
Yeah.
All right, good deal. All right then, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Oh, wait a minute, Bob has news.
I do?
Bob has news. Go ahead. Are you gonna wait till the next meeting?
It doesn't matter, I'm retiring. So I'm retiring sometime this summer or whenever we finally get straightened out as to, who's gonna jump in and stuff like that. Been thinking about it for some time.
So you won't leave until somebody takes your place?
Didn't quite put it that way. There was a no later than clause.
October?
Not quite that late.
September 29th?
Not quite that late. Keep working your way back, you're getting closer. It's like you tell the kids, you're warmer,
October 15th, they said you were warmer.
Of what year?
Once the campground's through?
Once the campground's through.
It's gonna take months.
Maybe
Oh, that
even a
campground,
year.
yeah, gotcha.
Maybe
No.
even a year.
Yeah,
Oh, I know what's going on. He wants to be one of the hosts of the
he's
concert.
gonna be honest.
I don't want June though, too cold.
That's why I quit, I gave him June.
That's right. All right, now, motion to adjourn. There must be a motion to adjourn, there always is.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? We're good. Thanks, Virginia.
Thank you.